and welcome to Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Alison Lagrange, live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin with the top headlines. Israel and Hamas continue truce negotiations in Doha for a third straight day. The focus is on a prisoner-hostage exchange, the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza, and the flow of humanitarian aid into the besieged Strip. French President Emmanuel Macron begins a three-day state visit to Britain as the two allies prepare to discuss cross-channel migrant crossings and a possible post-ceasefire security framework for Ukraine. The global terror financing watchdog, the FATF, flags the abuse of e-commerce platforms and online payment services while citing the February 2019 Pulwama terror attack and warning the world against state-sponsored terrorism. Thailand's interim cabinet withdraws a bill to legalize casino gambling. The flagship initiative of the faltering ruling party, which just last week saw its Prime Minister suspended from office. And Australia's central bank holds its cash rate steady at 3.85%, surprising investors who were expecting a cut as new US tariff plans fuel global economic uncertainty. Hello and welcome. A high-stakes cyber espionage arrest in Manila in Milan has pulled Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's country deeper into the tense digital battleground between Washington and Beijing. Italian authorities arrested a Chinese national suspected of hacking US COVID-19 vaccine research during the peak of the pandemic. The 33-year-old, identified as Xu Ziwei, was arrested at the Milan airport just days after the US officials issued an international warrant for his capture. Now, Xu is accused of being part of Hafnium, a state-sponsored Chinese hacking group accused of attempting to steal sensitive vaccine data between 2020 and 2021. The group also allegedly breached Microsoft's email systems in 2021. Now, claiming to be an IT specialist, Xu is now jailed in Milan. A forthcoming 9-count indictment in the United States reportedly accuses Xu of leading multiple cyber intrusions. This includes charges of wire fraud, aggravated identity theft, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and unauthorized access to protected computers. All of these intrusions supposedly targeted American labs developing coronavirus vaccines. Italy's foreign ministry describes the arrest as linked to industrial espionage, a phrase that rarely comes without serious diplomatic repercussions. The timing of this arrest presents a delicate challenge for Giorgia Meloni. In the recent months, she has actively courted US President Donald Trump while keeping China at arm's length. Though Meloni famously withdrew Italy from Xi Jinping's Belt and Road Initiative last year, she hasn't yet slammed shut the diplomatic door on Beijing. In fact, her deputy, Matteo Salvini, is scheduled to visit Beijing for an official visit later this week. Meanwhile, the court verdict to determine Xu's extradition to the United States is still pending. All eyes are now on Italy's courts and on how far Meloni's government will go to maintain its crucial American alliance without burning bridges with China. The decision made in the coming weeks will have far-reaching implications, not only for Italy's ties with the US and China, but also for the broader global landscape of cybersecurity. It's a first for the Philippines. Their Air Force is flying with America's most advanced stealth fighter, the F-35. And that's not all. Even Japan is exporting destroyers to Manila, Old warships with a new meaning and a clear message to China. From the skies of Luzon to the waters of the South China Sea, Philippines' alliance to counter China's aggression is growing stronger. The drills began on Monday. They're called the Cope Thunder 25-2. It's a joint air exercise between the Philippine Air Force and the U.S. Pacific Air Forces. It will run until the 18th of July, and it's happening across key military zones in Northern Luzon. Now, for the first time ever, Philippine fighter jets, the FA-50s, flew alongside America's fifth-generation F-35s. It's a big deal. In April, they only trained with older F-16s. Now, the Philippines is leveling up. Over 2,300 Filipino personnel are involved in the drills. So are Black Hawks, Tucanos, and the AW-109 helicopters. The U.S. brought 225 personnel and their cutting-edge F-35s. The drills include joint flights inside the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. There are tactical training missions, expert exchanges, and ground-air coordination. And the aim? To improve joint readiness and interoperability. Cope Thunder isn't new. It began back in 1978, but it was shelved in 1991 after Mount Pinatubo had erupted and the U.S. bases in Clark and Subic Bay were shut down. For years, the exercises were moved to Alaska and were renamed Red Flag. But now it's back. It was revived in 2023, and this is the second round this year. In April, 1,000 personnel took part in the first round of Cope Thunder 2025. While the U.S. helps in the skies, Japan is stepping in at sea. Tokyo will export 6 Abukuma-class destroyer escorts to the Philippines, a big shift in Japan's military posture. These destroyers have been a part of Tokyo's navy for 30 years. They are 109 meters long and displace 2,000 tons of water. They carry anti-ship missiles, torpedoes, and guns, but they cannot carry helicopters. They are primarily designed for an anti-submarine warfare. The focus is on coastal defense and protecting maritime routes. Each one can host around 120 crew members. The Philippine Navy has never had destroyers, just fighters and corvettes. Now, this will significantly boost their firepower. To bypass Japan's strict arms export rules, Tokyo will classify the modifications requested by Manila as joint development. Defense ministers of Japan and the Philippines signed a deal involving these destroyers in Singapore last month. The Philippines will inspect the destroyers this summer as a part of the final preparations. Last year, Japan and the Philippines signed a reciprocal access agreement. Their militaries can now deploy on each other's soil. They have held joint drills, shared radars, and now warships. Tokyo and Manila say that they face challenges from Beijing's assertive moves in the waters. Now, this includes in the South China Sea for the Philippines and the East China Sea for Japan. Now, the Philippines is in urgent need of more warships. For context, China's military has a surface fleet of 102 ships, and the Philippines, it has only 2 frigates. Beijing's moves in the South China Sea aren't slowing down, but now there is a triangle forming: Washington, Tokyo, and Manila. F-35s in the sky, destroyers on its shores, and allies on standby. But will this growing military web be enough to deter Beijing? That remains to be seen. And Trump called it beautiful, but for millions of immigrants, it is anything but that. Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill just changed the rules. Green card holders and legal immigrants could lose health coverage. Families sending money back home, they'll be taxed. and deportations about to surge. Signed on the 4th of July, this bill isn't about fireworks, it's about firepower. Let's unpack what this really means and how it could reshape the American immigrant story. One provision that is drawing concern among immigrant communities, including Indian Americans, is the rollback of healthcare benefits. The bill targets not just illegal immigrants, but legal ones too. Green card holders, refugees, and even students. People who came legally, live legally, and contribute legally. Around 5.4 million Indians reside in the US. This represents approximately 1.6% of the country's overall population. Moreover, of the nearly 1.2 million people receiving a green card in 2023, about 78,000, or 7%, were from India. So far, they were able to buy insurance through the Affordable Care Act. They even got tax credits to make premiums affordable. Trump's bill changes all that. Under the bill, many Indians residing in America may stop receiving federal subsidies for health insurance, especially low-income green card holders in their 5-year waiting period. Now, according to estimates by the Congressional Budget Office, or the CBO, around 1.3 million legal immigrants could be uninsured by the year 2034. It says that the bill could leave around 11.8 million more Americans without health insurance by 2034 and add nearly $3.3 trillion to the federal deficit over 10 years. That's not all. The bill slaps a 1% tax on remittances, money sent overseas by immigrants to their families. For Indian workers who regularly send money home, this tax creates an extra financial burden. It could sharply reduce formal remittances. Now, according to the Center for Global Development, India's total reduction in remittances might amount to $0.4 billion. Mexico might face the biggest hit, losing over $1.5 billion every year. And the Philippines might lose around $0.3 billion. And China may lose around $0.3 billion. The tax is likely to lead to a drop in remittances of approximately 1.6%. Now, the pursuit of living an American dream isn't as shiny as it looks from the outside. The path to permanent residency in the US for Indians is long, uncertain, and emotionally taxing. For many, not just a green card, but even the H-1B visa is a conundrum. While a popular route for Indian workers, it has limited availability. Many dependent visa holders are not allowed to work. Their children face obstacles pursuing higher education or finding employment. To add to this, for Indians, the path to permanent residency or the green card is daunting. They face a wait time of up to 50 years or more. And then comes Trump's move to end birthright US citizenship. All of this adds to the growing list of worries for Indian immigrants in the US. So here's what we are looking at. Health cuts, remittance tax, all under the banner of one big beautiful bill, and millions of legal immigrants caught in the crossfire. Trump says the bill is beautiful, but for millions of immigrant families, it could be the beginning of a nightmare. And finally, shifting focus to Indonesia, where a volcano in the country's east has been erupting for a second straight day. The volcano, Mount Lewatobi Laki-Laki, sent a towering ash column of 18 kilometers into the sky, disrupting air travel across the region.
There was a quake, ashes, and it caused a visibility problem. It was almost dark. At least only about 10 meters of visibility. I couldn't even look at my neighbor. And also a strong wind at the time.
Yes, there is a plan, but we will observe the situation first. If conditions worsen, we will evacuate, but if things calm down a bit, we will stay here for the time being.
The eruption forced the cancellation of at least 24 flights from Bali on the 7th of July. Routes affected include flights to and from Australia, Singapore, and South Korea. Several airlines across the region have reported cancellations and delays. Jetstar among them, confirming the volcanic ash as the cause. Despite the disruptions, Indonesian airport authorities stated that Bali's airspace remains unaffected by the ash cloud. So far, no casualties or damage have been reported, but the situation remains fluid. Authorities remain on alert about potentially devastating lahar floods caused by dangerous flows of volcanic debris mixed with water. Officials are urging residents to stay at least 6 kilometers away from the volcano and to wear masks to protect against ash inhalation. Now, the activity level at the Mount Loetobi Leki is currently classified as very high, with authorities citing continuous seismic activity. This is just the latest in a string of recent eruptions. The volcano last caused major disruptions just weeks ago, when a previous eruption led to dozens of flight cancellations. In November last year, multiple eruptions killed at least 9 and displaced thousands. Indonesia, sitting squarely on the Pacific Ring of Fire, lives with constant shadow of seismic unrest. And for now, the mountain's rumble is a reminder of just how volatile human life among active volcanoes can be. And that's all we have on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT.